Hey up troops, hey Littleton here again with another video, and we're not messing about today. We're getting straight stuck into the video. We're going to do a Year 8 Season 4 Defender tier list, going from S, A, B, C, and D. Nothing else to say. I can't even say there's enough waffling, so I've barely even waffled. Let's just get stuck into it. Right then, let's get cracking. These operators are in order of a release. Yeah, I thought they were alphabetical then, and then I saw mute at the beginning. So they're in order of a release, aren't they? These are Year 1 down to 2, but I was just been released. So I'll try and give a little bit of reasoning through each one. And there might be some changes as we go, because sometimes you go, oh, mute B, and then you put some other operators in, and you go, oh, actually, mute's not B. So bear with me on that. So we're going to get started with mute, who, by the way, is my favourite defender. And I think mute slots in at A. I'm very tempted to put mute in at S, and I will see what happens with the rest of the tier list. But mute is an unbelievable defender, and there's nothing he can't do. And he's got some of the best weapon combinations and secondary combinations out there. Smoke has definitely dropped down since he lost his shield, but he's still useful and is still almost applicable on every single site. So I'm going to put Smoke in B. Definitely would have been A, possibly S with his shield. But a lot of the setups that you used to use Smoke on are now no longer relevant, such as Elbow and Oregon, etc. Doc, I get stick all the time, right? When I'm doing Doc, everybody says, I usually put Doc quite low, and then everybody tells me off and says, oh, no, oh, hang on, let me sort my chat. Sorry, I just had to change my chat settings. Everyone sort of tells me off and goes, oh, no, what are you doing putting Doc down there? Doc's amazing. I actually don't think he's amazing, but since he's got the Bailiff, I do think that he is better. And I also think that since the extended barrel changes where attackers have been doing more damage, I feel like Doc does deserve a place higher up. But I still wouldn't rather have Doc than most operators here. I would still rather have, just going across the top, not Rook, but I would rather have Bandit, Jaeger, Pulse, Castle, Kapkan, maybe Tachanka, Frost, Valkyrie, not Caveira, Echo. Out of what? There's only two there that I don't think I would take Doc over, so I definitely think he lives in C. Rook, people are going to hate me for this because Rook's a fan favourite, but he just does nothing for me. Yes, he's got a couple of impact grenades, great. The down but not out thing, I don't think is great. How many times have you been down and been rezzed in your time playing Siege? What percentage of times do you go down and then get rezzed? It's got to be less than 10%. 10%? Less than 10? Generally, when you're down, you get finished. And that's why I don't think it's that useful. Yeah, it does give you a little bit of a health buff, but I think Rook's at the bottom of the list for me. Yeah, you get a 2x, but not for me. Again, going across this list, I would rather have almost every other operator there except Rook, with the exception of probably Caveira. Bandit. Now, Bandit's popularity and feasibility and effectiveness has been drastically increased this season with the introduction of this guy. So I think Bandit actually goes... If you're playing Bandit with Two-Brow, he goes here, but if you're playing Bandit on his own, he goes here. I think what Bandit does, and the same as Cade and Mute, although more so Bandit and Cade, is he gives attackers a problem. The problem, without Two-Brow, is very easily overcome, you know, to get rid of Bandit batteries. There's a multitude of ways of doing it. However... What, EMPs, Twitch, Brava's not as effective, but EMPs, Twitch, booking below, Ashes of Fear below, etc. Grenading below is obviously not a thing now, and I think that's also why Bandit has gone up the ranks. Bandit tricking's back on the menu, boys, especially with Two-Brow. In fact, I am almost tempted to put Bandit there now, but I'm not going to, because I don't think he's quite that good. But I think the reason I like Bandit is because it makes attackers have to do something to get their own way. And in this current method, the way everyone's playing Siege at the moment, where nobody really wants to play hard breach, no one really wants to open the wall, everyone just wants to play like Frag Ops, Graham, Ash, Iona, Finker, etc. I think putting Bandit batteries on the wall gives attackers a problem that they have to solve, and not everybody wants to do that in Siege at the moment. So even though it's something as simple as a Bandit battery, it can still put a real problem in the attacker's plans. So, what's the phrase I'm thinking of there? You can really put there's a phrase to say, like, they've put a wedge in the attacker's plans, and I can't think what the phrase is. My mind's gone blank, but whatever. Jaeger, I think he probably fits into the same category, or does he go into A? I think Jaeger sometimes... No, he doesn't go into A. I think Jaeger gets a little bit mistaken where people think, well, nades aren't as powerful now, so Jaeger's not going to be picked as much. Jaeger does so much more than just pick nades out of the sky. He can pick anything out of the sky pretty much, except Capitão's firebolts and smoke bolts. So I think Jaeger is a little bit underplayed at the moment because his gun's still excellent. It packs a punch on the defense. Granted, the recoil's a little bit higher than it used to be, and yes, the capacity of the mag is a little bit lower than it used to be, but Jaeger's still very, very good. Pulse. I think I'm putting Pulse in C. And the reason I'm putting Pulse in C is because he's just very situational, is he? You can only really use Pulse on 50% of the sites, sometimes even less than that. Basically anything where you can be below. Obviously, a lot of the sites have a top floor preference first, usually. So playing him on the top floor doesn't always work out. Yes, you can play below, obviously. But I don't know. But I don't think Pulse is bad. He's got a fun gadget, and it can be useful. But I think it's fairly situational. Castle. Now, this is an interesting one. And I'm actually going to put Castle here for now. Castle is incredibly, incredibly useful. Again, talking about what we talked about Bandit. Making attackers have to do things your way to get what they want, if that makes sense. If you castle barricade off certain doorways and certain windows, you force the attackers to have to go, yeah, I want to do this, but first, I've got to go and do this, this, and this so I can do this. Do you know what I mean? Like the classic one's gym window on Oregon, isn't it? If you want to bandit trick the wall, the best way for them to stop you bandit tricking is by going to gym window. But if you castle off gym window and then castle off gym door, you've got two barricades between the bandit and that window. So they've got to then bring either an Ash charge or a Zephyr impact. A breaching charge will only do for the gym window. It won't do for the window inside. But it just causes a problem for attackers. Again, you're making them do something they probably don't want to have to do. And they might have not brought the utility for it. And even if they did bring the utility for it, that now means two Ash charges have gone or two Zephyr impacts have gone, etc., etc. So when used correctly and when certain castle setups are implemented, he's a really, really strong defender. Don't get me wrong, he could also be here if you start castle in between sites and the wrong doors and windows. So assuming we're going to be using castle right. Capcan, this is an interesting one because on paper, Capcan's not that good, is he? Really? Because we drone every doorway we go through, don't we? So there's no way we should die to Capcan traps. But listen, I'm just being facetious there. I die to Capcan probably more than you do, so don't worry about that. But on paper, Capcan's like, well, these traps are quite visible. They make a bit of a noise. They're at drone height usually, so you can see them. I go through them all the time. So Capcan, I think, probably goes there, but because of people's laziness on drones, mine included, he probably ends up sitting there, I would say. Where he comes in clutch, obviously, is towards that late round when defenders don't have the time to drone. All the early rushes. I think I'm actually going to put Capcan. I think I'm going to leave Capcan there at the moment because he plays into the way that people are playing Siege. Less droning, more aggression. That means less people checking doors on the way through. Plus, his gun is one of the best on defense. It's a proper underrated gun, I think. Obviously, Azami has it as well, and Tachanka. I just think it's really underrated. It's incredibly easy to control. The damage is decent. I think there's a lot to like about that gun. Was it the 9x19, I think it's called? Plus, he has a C4. I'm going to leave Capcan there. Tachanka. Tough one for me, this, because I really like Tachanka because I believe there's a place for him in the game. However, I'm going to put Tachanka there. Very much like Pulse, although he does still have his shield, doesn't he? And he does have the option of a 2x on the 9x19, and he does have the bearing as a secondary as well. I'm going to leave Tachanka there. Very useful in some places. Obviously, basement on bank, cafe downstairs useful, Oregon elbow useful. Any sort of solid anchor points, holding connector on Nighthaven useful. A lot of useful places to be used, but I would say most of the time when you're thinking about Tachanka, smoke probably is a better pick, I would say. Although, obviously, no shield. Frost. Has the Frost rework lowered her area to be on the... Area to be? Lowered her tier on the tier list. Area to be? What? I think Frost probably now goes here. And I'll put a bit of meat to the bone on that. I think there's more to think about at Frost than just a Frost mat. A gun is incredibly good as a 1.5 and very little recoil, very high damage output for a defender's gun. Secondary shotgun to help set up the sights quickly and easily, and a shield. Plus then 3 traps. I think there's a lot to like about Frost, even though our traps are now slightly weaker, arguably. Although, are they weaker because now people can get out of the trap and they leave a blood trail where they go? I think she probably is a little bit weaker, isn't she? But I don't dislike the frost mat change because I mean, there's probably been, I've been caught in a frost mat a few times since the change. I think I probably got out once, maybe. I can't remember, but defenders are usually there pretty quick to pounce on it, aren't they? A little bit like the root blade scenario. So yeah, I think Frost goes there, not just because of her frost mats, but the kit that she brings with her. Valkyrie, no questions asked, straight to the top. Assuming we're playing Siege properly in a coordinated stack, having 3 hidden cameras around the map wherever you choose, plus a C4, plus the easiest guns control on defense, no questions asked. She goes an S. There's a massive reason why Valkyrie is constantly banned in ranked. Right, now we come on to Caveira, one of my most hated operators. And not because I don't like playing against her. I just think she's... well, no, hang on. Maybe I'm hating the game. Maybe I'm hating the player and not the game here. No, I'm just saying that the wrong way around. I'm hating the player. Because people who play Caveira, tend to just sort of go and sit on the other end of the map on their own. And in a well-coordinated stack, you can drone a Caveira out and double push her and get rid of her quite easily. But if you play Caveira as in the traditional Roma style, where you would be a little bit more present, kill a drone or two and move on. I don't know, I reckon she could be useful maybe. Especially now with the way that people are playing Siege more. But for me, I still don't rate her. I would still rather have someone roaming who is a Legion, an Alibi, a Mozzie. I would still rather have someone else than Caveira roaming, personally. Moving on to Echo. I am going to put Echo... It's for me, Echo's S or A. I rate Echo so much. And I'm going to put Echo S. That is a little bit biased because I really like Echo and the way that Echo's played. He fits into my playstyle by being a little bit more passive. Is Echo S? No, he's not S tier, is he? Don't be daft, Andy. He's not S tier. I'm thinking about other operators that I'm going to be putting in this S tier and he's not quite up there. But if there was a tier between S and A, I'd put Echo in there. Really, so that Supernova nowadays with the shotgun changes is an absolute cannon. Obviously, got the MP5 with a 1.5 as well. Plus a shield, 2 cameras that you can just move around. Sorry, my dog. It's just arrived mid-tier list. Ugh. Just say hello to Neville quickly. Hi, Nev. Should we say hello? Little high five, maybe? High five. Oh, he's blanked me. I can't believe it. Right, sorry. Mid-tier list. We're going to have to go. Sorry, mid-tier list. You can't be up here. Where do you think I should put Echo? S or A? Right, okay. Good to see you. Ugh. I'm really sorry about that. Right, back on track. So, yeah, Echo got a really solid kit. Don't forget with Echo cams, you don't just have to put them in the corner of a room and hope to try and play the plant denial with that. You can get really aggressive by droning teammates around the map. I've mentioned this on a few Echo videos I've done. Don't forget you can be aggressive with Echo. Mirror. Has Mirror just got stronger because of the nade changes, but then also got weaker because of her changes directly? I'm going to put Mirror in B. I know she gets banned a lot, but I think that also comes from laziness from attackers for not really wanting to deal with the mirrors. I would say that 80-90% of the mirror setups you're going to come across are on soft floors. So you can go below with Buck and just pop the mirror. And if you do a bit of droning prep phase, you'll see they've got a mirror and you can prepare for that. So I think that don't forget the changes to mirror if you're not aware of. Ash charges and Kali lances now hit the mirror and then shatter the mirrors. You know, if you go up to a mirror and punch it, it shatters. Well, they do that to mirror now. Talking about Frost, though, similar sort of thing with mirror. Still got a secondary shotgun. Still got an unbelievable primary with the Vector. Still got a C4, and the gadget itself is great. You've just got to prepare it a little bit better now. Put some Wamai magnets or a couple of ADSs somewhere underneath the window, somewhere it can catch those Ash and Kali charges. So yeah, I think Mirror probably used to be there, but is now here. Legion, straight up into S for me. That secondary shotgun has changed Legion's game, and I won't hear otherwise. I also think his gadget is now stronger, even though it's not invisible anymore. It used to be invisible, didn't it? But it didn't used to do damage immediately. It does now, and it now does way more damage than it used to. I can't remember the numbers, but it's something like it now does 12 damage a tick, and it used to do 7. I can't remember the numbers. I have done a video about it, but I haven't got that kind of number retention in my brain. But he's definitely better now. Just all I would do now is when you used to throw a goo mine in the middle of a door and it'd be invisible, you just need to throw it next to the door, but on the other side of the door. Does that make sense? So you can't see it as you walk through, but it's tight to the door. So, sorry, Neville, I think he... just to go off the tier list again here very quickly, when I came into this room, I brought my dinner in with me, and I finished my dinner, and the plate is now up on the table here on the desk. So I think Neville must be thinking there's a bit of dinner left for him, but regret to inform him, that's all gone. And what did I have for dinner? I had ham, eggs, beans, and mashed potato, which is similar to what I had last night. Don't worry about that. Moving on, sticking with the tier list. Don't talk about dogs or dinner again. I hope you had a good dinner. So, yeah, put your lesion mines, your goo mines now just on the other side of the door frame, and hide them a little bit. You can also put them on the base of stairwells, just around the corner. You just got to think about where you put your goo mines. And even if you do put your goo mines in the middle of the floor, in the middle of a door, if attackers don't want to walk into them, they've got to shoot them, and that gives you a sound cue that somebody's in that area. So yeah, Legion's S tier for me. He's the best roamer on the in the pool at the moment. Ela, I don't think about Ela a lot. You know, you don't really see her that often. Don't really play her that often. I think I'm going to put Ela there. I think you could probably argue that she goes there a little bit. Her SMG is good to control if you can. She does have a secondary shotgun, has that nice pistol. Just a gadget's just not that great, is it? I'm really torn, actually. Do we go B or C with Ela? I think, from my opinion, it goes there. But thinking about her kit and what she brings, maybe goes there. No, I'm going to leave her in C. Just doesn't do a lot for me, really. There's just, again, other operators I would rather have than Ela there. Vigil's been really knocked down by Soulless, right? Like, the best roamer in the game is I just said the best roamer in the game is Legion. The best roamer in the game is possibly Soulless as well. But it used to be Vigil, but it's not anymore. Vigil needs a bit of a change. He's just sort of nowhere at the minute, is he? Yeah, you used to be able to hide on a drone, but why would you not just play Soulless and then the attacker has no drone that you even need to hide on? So I think Vigil goes into C for me at the moment. Possibly even D, you know. No, he still goes into C. Vigil still goes into C. Alibi, another really solid operator at the moment. Another great kit and another shield. I can never remember what her primary gun's called, but it's a solid gun. Fire rate's super high. Recoil's not too bad. The gadget's really good. Stick it under windows. It's easy to catch people off guard. And a secondary shotgun with the bailiff. So I think Alibi probably still goes there for me. Maestro. This is an interesting one because Maestro just got an additional camera, didn't he? Maestro now has 3 evil eye cameras. Plus he has observation blockers, which links in really well with his kit because you can put an observation blocker in front of a Maestro cam and they can't see the cam with the drone. I actually think I'm going to stick Maestro there, you know. He does have a lot of counters. Like he does... The mirror change is also the same with Maestro. So an Ash Charge or a Kali Lance will crack the glass. It will obviously just destroy the camera as well. But you can just walk up and punch the Maestro camera. So I think... does Maestro go there? You know what? I'm going to put Maestro there. I'm going to put him there. 3 cameras like that. Yes, you can throw vault cams in more hidden locations. And don't forget his LMG and his secondary shotgun. I think Maestro go. I'm happy with Maestro there. Clash. Oh, this is an interesting one for me because I have an opinion on Clash that everybody plays Clash wrong. People play aggressive Clash and I think you should play passive Clash. As long as you've got a distance of 12 meters between you and the enemy, you're going to damage them with the electric shock of the shield. You don't need to walk towards them and do that. Your most vulnerable point with Clash is when you're next to an enemy because they can hit your shield and shoot your ankles. Don't walk anywhere near them. Keep them at a distance of ideally 12 meters at all times and make it more difficult for them to get close to you. So don't just start walking to enemies. I actually think when Clash is deployed and used correctly, I think she goes into B. The thing is with Clash is if you're in a deficit, if all of a sudden you're in a 3v5, then Clash isn't that good because you can just become overwhelmed and swamped quite quickly. But Clash, when you're in a coordinated team again, you can hold down an area pretty much on your own relatively safely. Blue on Oregon is a great shout. You can just stand at the door on Blue and just stop people coming through most of the time. You can absorb nades, you can take air jabs. Callie's might have a go at you if they brought a Callie. There's loads of things you can do to try and counter you, but if you just play passively, you're a real problem for them, and you can just watch them at all times and give call-outs non-stop. I actually quite like Clash at the moment. I think she's a little bit misunderstood. People tend to get a bit too aggressive. Cade. Is Cade the same as Bandit? I think Cade probably goes in B at the moment. Or does Cade go A? No, I think Cade also goes B. I think Walden Isle, without this guy, we'll come on to him later, is a tricky one at the moment. I think it's easily overcome if you work together well. So yeah, I think Cade probably goes in B. Not a lot to say because there's not a massive amount going on in his kit, but his Walden Isle abilities is pretty good. It's just that if you can drone out the wall and you can see the Cade Claw, just chuck an EMP and it's donezo. Mozzie. Mozzie's great info denial, isn't he? You can just pretty much stop drones coming through 3 doors across the entire map and you're sorted. The Roni's good. The 5.52 Commando's underrated. Really, really good gun. Overshadowed a bit by the Roni because the Roni's a bit flashy, isn't it? It's like high rate of fire, 1.5. But the Commando is a really solid weapon. Half tempted to put Mozzie in A, but I don't think he's quite A. No, he's not. I'm looking at other operators I've got here. Mozzie's nowhere near as good as Mute. Mute's got 4 jammers and a better kit, and there's no way he's up there. He's also in B. We've then got Warden. Recent nerf to Warden then, where he became a 1-speed. Still got the MPX, with the 1.5. And smokes and flashes are more commonplace in Siege at the moment. However, I still think Warden is probably in B because he's fairly situational, isn't he? If you're not being smoked or flashed, then Warden's not much use to. If I'm not being smoked or flashed, I would rather have a Frost with a 1.5 or a Wamai with a 1.5 or a Goyo with a 1.5. So, yeah, you have to think about these tier lists. Like, yeah, but if they bring Ying, Warden's S tier. Yeah, he is, but if they don't bring Ying, then Warden's D tier. So let's keep him in the middle at B tier, okay? So, yeah, all of these operators, you could say, well, yeah, but they're bringing loads of different drones and they're playing Twitch constantly. All right, well, Maestro's S then. Or if they bring a Bravo, Maestro's D. So you've just got to think about it a little bit, like, overall. Goyo's a strong operator. Goyo goes into A. I don't think I'm going to question that much. Hasn't got C4 anymore, remember. I died because Goyo hasn't got C4 anymore recently. I think I was... What was I playing? I must have been playing Ranked. And it was towards the end of the round... And it was a 1v1 or a 2v2. There wasn't many players left. And I went to throw a C4 at an enemy, like peek and throw a C4. And I peeked and took out a bulletproof cam. I hadn't even placed the bulletproof cam, which is another problem that I needed to sort out. I didn't even place the bulletproof cam down, but I tried to peek and got a cam out rather than throw a C4 and I died. So, but either way, still a good kit. Vector with a 1.5 is a laser if you can control it. 4 Goyo canisters with 20 seconds of area denial. It's 80 seconds of area denial. Per round. Absolutely solid. Really, really good. Wamai also probably goes into A for me. MP5 is great. The AUG is an absolute cannon, by the way. The only problem with the AUG is it takes up 140% of your screen. That's the only issue, but the AUG is an absolute cannon. Really, really powerful. His gadget's really strong as well with throwables coming through and what you can try and do with that. So yeah, he goes up there for me. Oryx, this is an interesting one. And people aren't going to like this, but I'm putting Oryx in D, man. I know Oryx was like... Oryx used to be up here for a little while when he had a 1.5. Not for me anymore. Like, why would you take Oryx over Legion now? Both got the same gun. Both can make rotates. Yes, Oryx can make rotates as well, but he has to take a 5 HP penalty for running through a wall. But you can climb hatches. When was the last time you played Oryx and climbed a hatch? And it was effective in the round? Not... For me, I think having 8 goo mines, or however many goo mines Legion gets, I can't remember how many it is way more effective than the off chance that you might need to climb a hatch. A little bit lost, I feel, Oryx for me at the moment. Malusi, this is an interesting one, with the recent addition of this guy. Malusi, MP5 impacts, 3 Banshees. It is now a 1-speed, though. Malusi still goes there for me. I think without this guy, we still think Malusi's class. But because Fenrir is that strong and pretty much does a better job of everything Malusi does, I think Malusi still goes in B, but still gives great info, still got a solid gun, still got impacts. Hampered a little bit with the 1-speed change, although I do think that makes sense. You think about what a Malusi Banshee trap does, Malusi Banshee Wub Wub, whatever you want to call it. It slows the attackers down, right? Is it fair that you slow the attackers and then swing them as a 3-speed? Probably not. It's like a double whammy, isn't it? Like, you're already slowed and they're a 3-speed. You know, what you're going to do. So I don't necessarily hate that change. Aruni is... Aruni's here for me, I think. Yeah, Aruni's there. I aren't great with DMRs, but for those of you that are, and there's many of you in rank that I play are good at DMRs, because I get smoked by a Rooney DMR all the time. Great operator. Love the fact that her gadget is, what do you want to call it? Rechargeable, like able to be re-energized. I don't know what you want to call it, but once the enemies have destroyed it and gone, right, okay, the Rooney gate's gone off that door, let's chill, let's do something else now. You can just go, all right, well, 30 seconds later, I'll probably just turn that back on, which is a really solid ability. And yeah, and obviously the ability to make rotates as well as she does, be able to run out as well as she does. I actually probably need to play Aruni a little bit more. I don't think I play her often enough. Really solid. Thunderbird, one of the worst for me at the moment. And I get stick for this all the time because I think Thunderbird's a bit poo, but I just don't know what she brings. What, a spear, which is don't get me wrong, the spear's great on defense. One of the best guns on defense for sure. But the recent changes, and does she still have C4? I feel like she might have lost the C4 recently. I can't remember off the top of my head. Just doesn't do anything for me. Like, oh, I'm just going to run back to site to get a squirt of 20 HP. Not for me. Doc is miles better than her at healing, and as a roamer, you can't justify taking Thunderbird as a roamer over, say, a Legion or a Solus. Thorn. Thorn's an interesting one, right? Because Thorn makes everybody sort of panic. Sorry, I just thought I saw something on the other screen there. Thorn makes everybody panic, me included. When you go through a Thorn trap, there's quite a lot of time, you know, to turn around, find the Razor Bloom and shoot the Razor Bloom. I never do that. I try and run away. Inevitably, what happens is there's barbed wire on the floor. I get stuck in the barbed wire and I die to the Razor Bloom. And every time I go, I had so much time then just to turn around and shoot the Razor Bloom. I do it every time. But I think Thorn, the gun's really good, isn't it? With the Uzi with a 1.5 plus a shield. Gives great information, but obviously it only goes once. Does have a chance of a kill. Just comparing these two, actually. Comparing Melusi to Thorn. Both have 3 traps. Both are proximity related. Both give great sound information. Thorn has the better gun. Thorn has to go there, doesn't she? The only thing with Melusi is they give the slowed effect. But Melusi's can be shot pretty quickly. Although the Melusis, if you don't shoot them, do stay there forever. No, I actually think Thorn goes there at the moment. Yeah, I think Thorn goes there. Right, the last 4 are fairly straightforward for me. Azami, no questions asked. The way you can manipulate a site and manipulate angles just causes attackers a million problems. Great gun, as we mentioned on Capcan. No questions at all that Azami is right at the top of the defender list at the minute. Probably the strongest defender at the moment, and when used correctly can just cause all sorts of problems. Probably needs a nerf. Well, definitely needs a nerf. Whether that nerf is the Azami Kiba barriers break down after a certain amount of time, or she gets less, or the time between refreshing and the cooldown period, between Azami barriers, if that's extended, I don't know. Definitely needs a bit of a nerf, though, especially at the higher level when players know what angles suit them and how to set up a site. Azami's incredible. Solus, straight up into S tier. Probably the defender that needs a nerf the most, I would say, because it sort of deters people from droning a little bit. I just feel like Solus is a little bit too strong. I feel like maybe you shouldn't be able to use her gadget until the action phase, maybe, and not use it in the prep phase. It sort of deters people from putting drones in the map, although maybe that's make them use it in the action phase as well. The best roamer in the game, along with Legion at the moment, but no doubt she's an S. Fenrir, straight up into S for sure. Better than Melusi, better than Thorn, gets 5 of these things, and you can choose which one. That's very rare you can do. In fact, I can't think of another operator that can do this. But with Fenrir, you can place 5 traps at the 5 points you could be pushed from, and you can set up 3 on one side of the map, and you think, right, well, I'll cover that side of the push. And then you find out they're pushing the other way, and you go, all right, I'll just turn those off and turn those on, and you don't need to go over there and pick those up, and you don't need to go over there and put them back down. It's really unique. It's incredibly strong. Probably needs a bit of a change as well. Maybe gets 3 Fenrir traps as standard, just like Melusi, and you can't turn them on or off, but that's a cool mechanic. I don't know what the change needs to be, but I think Fenrir is absolutely S tier, and these 3, in fact, yeah, these 3 and Valk, mate, you could argue for Legion not going in there because you've already got a Solace, but these 3 and Valk would be the core of any, if you had to say best lineups on defense at the moment, these 3 Valk and a Bandit, or maybe take Fenrir, Azami, Solace, a Bandit, and a Jaeger or Wamai. I think that would be the best lineup at the moment. Tubarão, most recent addition to the defender pool. Where does Tubarão go? He goes there for me, I think. The reason I'm putting him there, everyone's saying he's like overpowered at the moment, and the bit that he's really strong at is stopping the breach when he works well with Bandit and when he works well with Cade. However, on his own, he's a bit of a jack of all trades, but a master of none. So he can do lots of things, right? So he can freeze gadgets, he can freeze hard breaches, he can slow enemies down, he can do all of these things that other operators do, but he doesn't do them as well. So he doesn't slow people down as well as Melusi or as well as Legion. He doesn't slow people down, he doesn't stop the breach as well as Bandit or Cade. He doesn't freeze electronics or get rid of electronics or other devices, say like Wamai or Jaeger might do. So he does all of these things very well, but he sort of does them all. And like I say, is a master of all trades, but a jack of all, master of all trades, a jack of none. What? A jack of all trades and a master of none, where he can do a lot of things on his own, which is really, really strong. But if you just want wall denial, you're taking Bandit. If you just want to get information and slow people down, you're taking Melusi or you're taking Fenrir, etc. So I don't think he goes S. I think he goes A. And that summarises the Year 8 Season 4 Deep Freeze tier list. I think this operator and this operator need a change fairly soon. This one especially, because a little bit too oppressing. But I think that's about right, and I think this shows how strong defense is at the minute compared to some of the operators that we've had on attack. Like, you think of the most recent attacking operators, Ram, Sense, Brava, they aren't going in S tier on attack, are they? Whereas these 3 absolutely do go in S tier on attack, and this one nearly goes S tier on attack. So on defense, sorry. So yeah, there's definitely a power creep towards defense at the moment, which is fine. The game does that sometimes, goes attacking sided, then defender sided, whatever. The people say, oh, it's too defender sided, it's not fair. Well, the beauty of it is we all get a chance of defending in every game. If you defend first, you get 3 chances, and if you lose or if you win all 3 of them, the other team gets 3 chances to defend potentially. So everyone gets a chance to defend. It's the same every time. You go into a game and you're attacking first. Well, don't worry. Next game, you'll probably be defending first. It evens itself out over the season. So make sure you win the defender rounds and make sure you win your attacker rounds as well. So that's it. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I think there's a few contentious ones that people won't agree with. I think this people won't agree with that much. And I think people will want probably this moved down and may want this and this probably moved up. People probably want this moved down maybe a little bit. I'm not sure. It'll be interesting to see what you think. But as always, if you've watched it for 10 seconds, 10 minutes, or for 10 hours, thank you very much. The channel's nothing without you that watch the videos. I might make the videos, but what's the point if there's nobody out there watching them? So thank you for getting involved. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you next time. Cheers!